Hey, welcome to another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show, our ongoing miniseries where we break down key updates and design questions straight from the development of Shade Protocol. These episodes are built around the game's community engagement series, Devs Ask You or DAUs, where Kendall and the team not only show what's changing, but invite fans to shape the journey with them. Today we're digging into a fan favorite, the Guitar Axe. This isn't just a flashy weapon, it's a prime example of Shade Protocol's interactive, community-driven design process. From dash cancels to massive electrified smashes, this weapon now feels like it truly belongs in the hands of a cyber Valkyrie. Be sure to follow us and Little Legendary on our socials and YouTube channel, and be sure to join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice directly with the dev team. Links to everything will be in the description down below, and with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! Kendall, can you tell us what was the original vision for the Guitar Axe and its combo chain, and how did the community feedback reshape this vision?
Definitely. So I think like that the Guitar Axe was probably, one of the first instruments that I had in my mind that I said I have to have this. We weren't really sure at the beginning if it was going to play out into this gimmicky thing. I mean, you've seen many Guitar Axes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is Marceline's bass axe in Adventure Time.
There you go. Yes, I mean it's not super common, but when you think about a guitar and you say, what if I could use it as a weapon? I think you almost always end in an axe, right? I think it's
and I think it's in the music world, I think a guitar or a bass is commonly known as an axe regardless. So it just works. It just fits.
See, that I didn't know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
In the conceptually, we didn't feel that was like too far from what people know, which is something that I really care about in terms of design. I call it like, I want the game to be familiar but new. So not like so that's where the nostalgia should come from. It's a connection to something familiar, but something familiar doesn't mean same. So it's in the same family, but you could say, okay, I mean, a cat reminds me of a tiger, but they're definitely not the same, right? So I think like conceptually, I would like to stay familiar. So this worked. From there, from our concept of Guitar Axe is a good fantasy, is something that we like. Then how can we make it not what we've seen before, and also something that feels like it's going to be an instrument that feels really good to use, but it has to be deliberate. So the fantasy of the Guitar Axe is slow and deliberate, and slow compared to everything else. It's actually not that slow, right? But it's slow compared to the other instruments. But man, does it hit like a truck. The concept is this is the hardest hitting weapon that you guys know, and it hurts so much. Like, it hurts so much. So we want this to be the armor breaking, kind of like, if an enemy has a shield up, you press that button, and if the shield's still up by the time that hit lands, you're gonna break it, and you're gonna feel like, really powerful. So the screen shake should be kind of heavy. People can, of course, change that in the options of the game for accessibility reasons. But conceptually, this should feel like, you're smashing things and you feel really powerful. The design of the axe originally, if you guys look at the trailer, you'll see that the axe was a stationary weapon when we designed it. So what would happen is you would hit the button and she would do a swing, very, very, frontal swing. But if you would hold the axe, she would start charging it. And it used to have 3 stages, and then you would release it. And when you would release it, it would, the more you charge it, the wider the attack. And in the trailer, we have this combo that you use this big axe attack that sends the enemies into the air. And then she does like a chakram throw, and then you crash with the axe through the chakram. So it's a little teleport thing that happens. All of that we thought about, of course, before we had a community, right? Because we gained our community after the trailer. So we did the trailer and said, this is it, right? This is beautiful, and people are going to love this. And people did. People loved it, right? I think then we got a lot of people to say, okay, we really like that, but how do I use this with an enemy that's moving, right? And then we said, great, we can solve that. And when we created, thanks to the axe actually, and the feedback we got on the axe, we created the dash cancels for every weapon. So in short, whenever you press the dash button, you can then hit an input for any instrument, and there will be some sort of effect that would happen. So you will come out of the dash, and then you will do something. So the axe has a very, it's a very abrupt and very, drastic. She kind of like leaps and smashes the axe down, and it's very heavy. Like it feels really, really heavy, and that's exactly what we wanted. So you dash and you hit this button. She does like a little leap, and boom. But when she does that hit, it sounds like an electric guitar, right?
Yeah.
You get this sense of like bam kind of feeling, and I really like that. We said, okay, can we dive deeper into that? Can we make more of that so that people get the experience that they're playing an electric guitar while smashing people in the face? Great. So let's try that. But then we figured out before we do that, we need an attack that isn't charged, right? That swings forward, and then it's broad enough, it's wide enough so that you can predict what the enemy's going to be, and you can hit the button and hit them. So great. But now we need motion. So whenever you hit the button, you should be able to move a little bit forward, right? So that you can the swing should carry you forward, and then do a swing, kind of like Dark Souls and those kind of games. Where you hit the button, you'll kind of move with it with a swing.
For sure, yeah. And this player controlled forward momentum is very important leading up to the rest of the combos. No?
Yes, because if and we didn't have that before. When we showed the trailer, the only weapon that had a combo was the shield. If you watch the trailer with a lot of attention, you'll see that the shield is the only one that does multi-hits, right? Whenever you look at the combination between the axe and the chakram, what you'll notice is that that's what we used to call a link. That's, just our own dev speak, but a link is something that if you press button 1, we'll call it for a moment,
right,
and then you landed that hit, then you can press button 2 and Zura would just do the sequence. So it would be like a very cinematic combo, but it'll be already predefined. So you hit the axe, and if the axe sends the enemy into the air, if you press the chakram button, then she will teleport on top of the enemies and crash, right? And it feels really good because it's easy to execute, and it has a very, very high skill cap, but it's a low barrier of entry. That's the dream state. Low barrier of entry, very high skill cap. So the people that are really good at the game are going to get a ton of value out of that. But the people that are, maybe not, hardcore gamers are going to be able to feel the cinematic power of fighting, with all these instruments, doing things that feel right. They're not going to have to, hit the axe and then dash and dash exactly to the below the enemy, and then throw the chakram up and then teleport and then crash, all this like 7 inputs. They don't have to do that. So that's what you see in the trailer. So therefore we said, okay, well, people want the axe to feel, I wouldn't really even say more like Dark Souls, but more like that idea that, whenever you hit the button, there's some forward momentum so that you can press the button and you don't have to wait for the enemy to come to you, right? Because that is kind of boring. I accept that. So then we said, great, then that means the axe needs a forward movement attack. And then we said, well, if we're going to do that, why not do an attack sequence, right? Like a combo. You can hit the axe 3 times just like you hit the shield 3 times. What does that look like? And that, of course, created a whole concept of like, okay, can we make musical combos then? So let's do that for the spear too. So the community feedback in here was not really go make combos. It was more like, can we get some sort of non-stationary attack for the axe?
Yeah.
And the ramifications of that are so many, right? So it's like a little bit of an angle that it spreads, and then it kind of takes over all your future decisions. And it is important to recognize that that's where it started, right? I also want to make sure, because there's people that can misinterpret this. We're not really making a game by committee. Like, it's not like the people are telling us their opinion, and we're saying, okay, well, we'll just do whatever people want.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's a bad thing either. There's some games that do that, but the reason why I'm being emphatic about it is because some of you listening to this might say, well, but I want to play Division of the devs, right? I want to play a game and be surprised. I don't want to play a game that a community decided like everything that's going to happen. There is a happy medium between this, which is we want to make stuff that people want to enjoy, but it is all aligned to a very core vision that the instrument will do what the instrument's meant to do. And the instrument right now, the axe is meant to be like the very hard-hitting, deliberate. I wouldn't say slow. I use the word slow sometimes incorrectly, but I think it's deliberate. Like you press this button knowing that the enemy will be there, right? You're kind of leading them into this moment of I'm just going to crush you.
Yeah, you're
Um,
committing.
yeah, you're committing. That's actually even a better word. So you're committing to this attack, and there's going to be some ways that we're going to help you achieve that, which is a future state. Maybe there's a question for that later, but we'll get to that. So there is a more to the axe in this evolution. That now that we have a combo for it, so you have the axe has a 3-hit combo that is probably the most damaging thing in the entire game. If unless of course there's other things and protocols and things that affect that. We'll talk about those in another episode.
Oh
but
yeah.
but mostly I would say this 3-hit combo is horrifically painful. Like if you can hit a boss with the entire sequence, it's a lot of damage. And only the best of players are going to be able to do that consistently, but all of the players will be able to do that in a boss fight.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense. Like it's not, if you wanted to say I killed this boss with only the axe, you're gonna have to get good. There's no way around that, right? It's a very deliberate, difficult weapon. But if you're using it between, I'm swinging with the axe and breaking the armor, and then I'm dashing to the enemy and hitting them with a spear. That's the gameplay that I think most people would execute really well. And then there's the people that are going to go nuts and min max every fight precisely. So the toolkit is there for them.
Yeah, and it's not like you can rely on the super armor or whatever, because not every attack within the axe combo will have that. Because I know that's going to be a part of that combo. There's going to be like a attack or so where when you're charging up, when you're committing, you're going to have some level of super armor. Am I right?
Yeah, to break that to people that might not know what that is, that's a good call out. One of our ideas is whenever you are, and this was brought out by the community too, but whenever we come up with the combo, we kind of already thought of super armor. So if you don't know what super armor is in fighting games,
yeah,
and even in Metroidvanias too, this is not uncommon. It's just people don't call it super armor in other instances. But there are games where whenever you hit a really big enemy, they kind of like glow yellow. Most of the time it's the color, and they just don't budge. Like your hit doesn't affect them at all. Like if they were doing a motion and you hit them, they glow like yellow for a moment, and they just keep doing their thing. So if they were swinging, they just hit you, right? They don't get staggered. It's like your hit didn't really affect them.
Yeah, there's no hit stun, nothing. Think of like Ganondorf's forward smash in Super Smash Brothers.
Something like that, exactly. If you are hitting me during that time, I'm just gonna glow and tell you pretty much it doesn't work. And some games you take damage still, but you don't get affected, like you don't get staggered in any way.
Yeah.
So the idea in Shape Protocol is to create that circumstance where you don't take damage in a very specific moment of your swing. So you won't, and this is something the community suggested too, in terms of the implementation. But we had thought about it a little bit more like in fighting games. So in fighting games, for example, is a Street Fighter Third Strike. There's a character named Hugo. He's a huge, wrestler. And whenever you like attack him, and he's like charging at you, whenever you hit him, like the game does a hit stop. So kind of things stop for a moment. You could tell that you hit him, but it's like I don't care. I just keep going forward, and he just grabs you and hits you. So that concept was original design. Now we're thinking maybe it's more about, because what we don't want you to do is you can do this, by the way, but we don't want this to be like the choice that you have to make, which is I don't want people to feel like because it gives you super armor, whenever an enemy is attacking, I have to hit the axe, right? I want people to feel okay. I can hit the axe. I can also hit the parry, right? The block button for using the shield to block. I can also dash through the enemy. Like there's a myriad of solutions, and it'll allow people to get their own play style and feel like that the game is theirs, which is the whole point of an expressive character like Zura. That has like over 1,000 frames of animation. The idea is for her to, for you to play the game the way you want to.
Of course. So, yeah. And I'm sure there's like a really tough balance with this instrument specifically dealing with super armor, but since there's that nature of commitment of that risk and reward, right? You're risking choosing a faster, more safer attack option for this slower, heavier attack that'll do more damage. You're risking some sort of safety, right? Like you'll probably be easier to hit or something within the combos that don't have super armor and stuff. Like I'm sure that's another tricky balance, the whole risk and reward thing.
It'll be tricky, but it's I don't want to lie. I mean, it's a simple solution if it doesn't work. If it works, it's a problem, right? If let's say the entire 3-hit combo of the axe at certain moments, like in certain moments that you kind of glow, like I think that's how we might do that. I'm not sure really. We're designing how that will feel, but at certain moments of that, I think you might be safe and have super armor, right? But maybe it's like during that sequence you get 1 unit of super armor. So it doesn't refresh during the entire combo. For example, so let's say you get 1 unit of super armor. So if you're in the second attack of the axe and you get hit, if this is the first time in the combo that you've gotten hit, then you won't take damage. But if you get hit again, let's say on the third attack, then you already spend your super armor for the combo and you're gonna get hit. So enemies don't, it's very easy to fix. An enemy can just multi-hit, right? Whenever they swing, maybe the sword of the exo goes like pum pum, hits you twice, let's say. And if that's the case, then that's an enemy that's not great for you to deal with super armor, right? So that might not be the answer for that enemy. You could still do it, right? Like I mean, having super armor doesn't mean that the only moment that you want to use this is when the enemy's attacking, right?
Yeah.
So you might stun the enemy in some way and then use your axe, right? So and then of course, but there might be protocols that say, oh, instead of 1 unit of super armor, you refresh it every single attack, and now you get pretty effectively 3 units of super armor during your combo. You get what I'm saying? So this is where you can deal with it in many ways. You can deal with it by making enemies multi-hit, which is sort of more exciting to parry, right? So then you're incentivizing parry, or you make it so that certain things can only be mitigated by super armor, right? And those could be super rare but super engaging, right? Like enemies they attack very slowly. Maybe those are the enemies that you want like super armor to work with really well, so that you could get the reward of like, I saw you were going to attack, so then I hit my attack on time, and then I got the benefit of blocking your attack while also swinging and getting my hit in. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky balance is the answer to your question, but that's what we're here for. I mean, we want to make sure that we're making a really engaging game that leaves you in awe of all the options. And if one of the options doesn't inspire that awe, then we're not doing our job. So it takes effort and planning and balancing, then so be it, right? That's part of our commitment to making hopefully a great game.
Of course. Something I want to bring back up that you mentioned earlier, that within these attacks for the guitar axe, there's that wah type of sound effect. And of course, there's a visual effect, like a electricity spark stuff as well. I want to ask, is the guitar axe going to be the only weapon that has this audio type of effect whenever you attack, or is like the spear gonna, whenever you throw it, you hear like a little whistle tone of a flute or something? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So every in our Discord, we showcased a little bit of the sound that we have designed for the axe setup, which I really love. And it's like tiny little riffs. So it's not like bang, bang, bang. It's not like that. It's like a little riff. It's very pretty. So come check it out if you want to see more on our Discord. Is very, very pretty. But then for what we're going to do is for every weapon that has a combo, because not every weapon has a combo. That's neither here nor there. The shield, the spear, and the axe all have combos. So those 3 have combos for sure. And you can mix them, right? So you can do shield, spear, axe in one combo. So shield 1, spear 2, and then axe 3. If you do that, then you're going to hear, piano, flute, and guitar. You're going to hear that in that order. And it's going to sync in a way that feels good. It's definitely going to be, more something that eventually you'll tune out a little bit, because you'll memorize it, right? Your brain will know what's going on here. But it's that's the magic of good game design, right? You hear it when you're paying attention, and then if not, it becomes blended into the music and the combat. So the answer is yes. Every weapon that has a combo will have like its own, we'll call it, like, it generates a little bit of a melody, like a stinger of the instrument, and then you're hearing them as you attack. So you do get the sense of music as you're composing your combo.
I love it. Stuff like that makes me so excited about video games. God, that's so cool. Shade Protocol continues to be shaped not just by its creators, but by its community. Whether it's redefining how story is told or rethinking player immersion, every DAU opens the door to deeper collaboration. Thank you so much, Kendall.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This has been another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show. Want to help shape what Shade Protocol becomes? Join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice with the dev team directly. And if you like this breakdown, then stay tuned for more spotlights and interviews with Kendall right here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. Remember, the future of Amiria is still being written. We'll catch you on the next one.